Amen. You can be seated. Listen up. I'm fired up. Let me tell you why I'm fired up. Because when you hear from God and you get something from God, you get fired up to share it with people that you love. How many of you know I love you? Anybody here know I love you? Like right here, does anybody know that I love you? Like when you call on a brother, guess who's going to be there? Me. I'm going to be there, right? Anybody right here know that I love you? Listen here, you all slip back in the back. See, you act like I don't see you. I know I love you, boy. I ain't even going to play with you. I already know it. You already know it. But guess what? Let me tell you the biggest secret in the room because I'm excited, right? I can't love you nowhere near like Jesus can love you. And even know that if you get my phone number and you text me and you call me and I'm going to be there, guess what? Somehow, some way, I'm going to fail you unintentionally. But guess what? I'm trying to point you to the one that's never going to leave nor forsake you. Like mama, even though mama loves you so much, mama going to fail you. They're going to fail you. Unintentionally, people in your life let you down. Unintentionally, people in your life are missing. Sometimes that's intentional. Let me just go ahead and point that out to you. Sometimes when you get closer to God, you feel so lonely and so empty because he's moving the pieces of your life around. He's trying to tell you that, look here, I know such and such is your friend, but I have designed something else for you. You can't run with that one and be everything that I've intended for you to be. And oftentimes what you don't realize in a relationship with God, where you make effort to build a relationship with the living God, when you ask God to come in your house, the Word of God tells me that God is my refuge. Anybody know what refuge means? That means safety. God is my safety. That's what the umbrella represents right here. When you ask God into your heart, this is what happens. You walked into his big arm, his big loving arms, and now you are in his safety. Does that mean that people in your life ain't going to die? Does that mean that people in your life ain't going to let you down? Does that mean that you can't get sick? Does that mean that people that's in your life can't get sick? Does that mean that just because you love God, that all the tragic things that happen in this world can't happen to you? Is that what being up under this refuge means? Then what's the use? What's the purpose? I thought there was something special with God. What's the purpose of being, you tell me he's my comforter, why have I had to go through this? You tell me he gives me peace and understanding, why have I went through this? You tell me he loves me, how come I don't feel it? Have you ever put yourself in his shoes? I created you. I created you in my image. And I know that the very thing that I created is full of sin. But have you ever thought about how your father feels when your telephone is more important than hollering at your daddy? You ever thought how God feels when you make a choice to commit a sin that you know before you even do it is wrong? How does he feel when you cuss somebody out or try to fight somebody or everything right here and you saying, man, nah, I really love you. Now what happens is you say, God, I know that you're real, that you came, you died, everybody tells me all that. I accept all that. But you know what? I feel more comfortable out here in the open. I feel more comfortable out here being exposed. See, being up under your comfort zone right here is when I talk junk to the devil and he can't do nothing to me. When I look at the devil in the morning and be like, what's up, bro? What you gonna do? But if I leave this covering, guess what the devil gonna do to me? Oh, he gonna beat me down like I stole something. The Word of God tells me the enemy is a worthy adversary. Do you think the devil got some things he can do? Do you think he got some things that he can do to you? You daggum right he can. He can mess you up and get you so twisted Somebody that's close to us that's trying to come back in a relationship with God. And they said that the other day they were sitting in the back seat of the car just crying. And they listened to the music that the dude was listening to, and he was listening to the most jacked up stuff because some of this stuff that you put in you wants to keep you depressed. It wants to keep you in anxiety. It don't want you to feel good about yourself. You said, man, Tuck, I didn't know neither one of them songs. Well, let me point you to some songs so you can start learning and getting filled with something. Do you know that when I sit at my desk all the days, 5 days a week, 260 days a year, do you think that I listen to anything but Jesus music? Is it because I think the other music is going to send me to hell? No, I ain't trying to give the devil a door to get into my life because my mind's weak enough. You can live with me and know my mind is my biggest weapon. My mind plays tricks on me. That was a song back when I was coming up. Now, that's an old rap song y'all don't know nothing about. My mind's playing tricks on me. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. What happens is we feel warm and fuzzy on a Wednesday. We feel warm and fuzzy on a Sunday. And let me reiterate and make this opening. I'm running the buses every week. I'm going to try not to cry. I picked up 0 babies this week, and that's okay. You know where I'm going to be back at 9:45? I'm going to be back in Kelly Acres at 9:45 on Wednesday. You text me and say, pick me up on Poole Street. I'm going to be at Poole Street. You know why? Because you got to grow, and we got to help you grow. You know why? Your life is hard, and my life is hard sometimes, but we're going to do life together. And if you ain't got no ride, you need to hit me up. Because if I need to leave this church at 9 o'clock and drive clear all around the world, I'm finna drive clear all around the world to pick you up. You say, what about Ennery? Steve and Angie live in Ennery. They'll scoop you up on the way through. I know Ennery's coming in. We got people all around. They'll come slide up on you. What I'm trying to tell you is, you think that you can come and listen to me on a Wednesday, and you can come up in here and maybe come down and put your hands in the circle and say, Tuck, I want to get things right. And I know that you do, but you don't put nothing in you to maintain. Like when everything that I listen to is full of everything. When everything I hear from my classmates is full of everything, and I would rather fit in more with my classmates than I would fit in with Christ. I know what it was like to be in middle school. I know what it was like to be in high school. When I was in middle school, I lived with my mama. I lived in a place called Brookside Village. Brookside Village was in a place called StarTex, and Brookside Village was like 300 homes on top of each other, and it was like the ghetto. It was like the hood. And on the school bus, I would get picked on. I was like this big, and they would thump my ears, and I would try to fight everybody. The bigger kids had long arms, and even though I swung, I couldn't get there, and they would just laugh at me. And some kids was just bigger and better than I was, and I'd get my face beat in. But every day, the next day you thump my ears, I'm coming back at you. And all the stuff. The place I lived in, people would come to my house and shoot ball on my basketball court and dunk it and tear it up. My best friend is doing life in prison for killing his girlfriend. That's the kind of folks that I was around and the folks that I dealt with. But do you think that when I was sitting on the bus, on the back of the bus at Lyman Wesleyan Church, and I was one of those bad kids that sat at the back of the bus, and mess with the bus driver. That's why I ride y'all so much. I was one of those kids that was cutting up. Do you think that in my right mind that I thought that I would be right here where I'm at right now? But when you surrender to a loving God, he begins to pick you up and change you and turn you around. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Now let me tell you something else. We understand about this right here, and this is where it might get loud because I don't know how this microphone going to do. But let me tell you what happens with a lot of y'all. This is what the Holy Ghost showed me. Everybody know what this is? It's a ball. Now, we get these balls out. That was kind of, I can't tell if that was a smart aleck or you was legitimately being serious. Okay, then I'm not mad at you. Yeah, Onyx got knocked in the woods last year. And so what happens when it gets warm, we fill these balls up and we run into each other with them, right? And when you get run into each other, you don't get knocked down. I mean, you get knocked down, but you don't get hurt. Got all this stuff in here. Now, the word that I told you in Psalm 46 tells me God is my refuge and my strength, my ever-present help in times of trouble. What does that mean? In times of trouble. Does that mean that because we love God, because we right here, that trouble don't come? This is what God showed me. When I'm hooked up with God, stuff going to come my way, right? Chris, you going to help? Nah, Cohen, come help me. Chris might hurt me. He got anger issues. He might kind of really jack me up. All right. All right. So here's the deal. As funny as this look, this is like being with God. So like when Cohen comes, Cohen, I want you to act like I'm a football player, dog. I want you to tee off on me. Nah, man, bro, you got to come hit a brother. Now, you see how I got knocked down? Did that hurt me? Did anything of that little deal hurt me? Nah, well, I'm fat, so I got a little extra cushion. Do you understand the point I'm trying to make with that? When I live and walk and talk and act and I'm with Jesus, guess what? Trouble's coming. Life is going to happen. I'm going to get knocked down, but with his covering, with his peace, with his joy, with his understanding, I'm able to really take that without it hurting me. Too many times we understand that Jesus is real, like we want him in our life, but we don't want to live and walk and act like him. So we come down to the altar, we have a little relationship for a minute, and then what do? We begin to open up. See, we open up. You know, that relationship's cool, and I know, God, everything that you put in me, but I'm really comfortable doing things my way. God, you're real, but you know, life is what it is. See, life is what it is. I want to do what I want to do. I want to live the way the world lives. I want to do what everybody else is doing. But God, I know that you're in me, and I know when trouble comes, I'm going to be okay. But guess what happens when I put this on and Cohen comes hits me again? I want you to get ready, Cohen. I done broke one arm this year. I can break another one. Every time that we stay away from God, what he's put inside of us continues to fade away. Listen to me now, because I know we joking and we playing, and that's cool. I know there's some of you that's serious, and there's some of you that might be limited in your brain power or your maturity to really understand what I'm telling you. But let me tell you two things that I know that's real. Heaven's real and hell's real, and you have the choice to pick which one you go to. That's your choice. I don't care what your mama done, what your daddy done, who's missing in your life, who's done jacked your life up. You got the choice. One, guess what? You got the choice whether you go to heaven or whether you go to hell. That's your choice. You got the choice to make your decisions, not mama's decisions, not daddy's decisions. You make your own choice. But what happens is we use our circumstance as something to bring us down, and we use the world as to say, you know what? The world's cool. It's cool to be in the world. Let me live my best life. Let me do what everybody else is doing. Oh, yeah, I do love Jesus. And then when trouble comes our way, what happens? We ain't got nothing left in us. What do you think is going to happen to me when Cohen comes and lights my tail up? Why? Is there anything wrong with this? Did the ball tear up? Or did I make a choice to let the air out? Listen to me. I'm fitting to get full of the Holy Ghost and scare the whole room for those of you that don't understand it. I'm trying to quench it right now best I can. You better feel me and you better listen to me. He fills you up and you make the choice to let the air out. He don't go nowhere. There ain't nothing wrong with God. There's nothing wrong with his covering or his protection. There's nothing wrong with his strength. There's nothing wrong with his mercy or his grace. There's nothing wrong with it. Who's got the problem? We're the problem. Our desires are the problem. This flesh is the problem. This mind is the problem. How do we solve it? Can you ever solve the flesh? Can you ever solve the flesh? The flesh is always going to yearn. When Adam and Eve ate the fruit, the flesh became a factor. And there's nothing that you can do to shut it down completely. But the closer you get to Jesus is the more you control it. Now, what do I do about my mind? Why do I listen to Pandora Christian music every day? My mind. My mind constantly runs rampant. My mind runs rampant. Do you know what? Some of us has done some bad things in this room. Some of us has done some things that, man, we regret. And you know what? We went and we sat before Jesus and we said, Jesus, you know what? I did that garbage. You know what? I'm not proud of it, Lord, but I done that stuff. Did God throw it away? God throwed it away. But you know who's never going to throw it away? The devil. He always going to remind you what you done. He going to remind you of everything. And the more that you open yourself up and let the air that Christ has put inside your lungs, the more you let it run out, the more vulnerable you get. The Word of God is very clear. A dog returns to its what? Have you ever seen a dog eat its own puke? It's nasty. And you know what the devil does? He begins to manipulate us because he wants to take us from what God. He can't touch us right here. He can't touch us right here. Anybody ever been on a spook trail? Anybody been on a spook trail where y'all pay people to scare y'all like some morons? Who I got in here? The goofy ones like to pay somebody to scare you and chase you with a chainsaw and all that junk. Y'all folks, that's who I'm talking to. You know the only thing the devil can do is like them people on the spook trail. He can light the chainsaw. He can put the scary mask on. He can go, woo! He can put it, woo! He can do all this, but guess what? He can't touch you. But the moment that you leave that refuge, the moment you leave this covering right here, the moment you walk out, that chainsaw becomes real. That mask is no longer a figure behind the mask. They got access to you. The devil's got access to you. And he wants to make you feel like everything's okay. Don't worry about it. Everybody doing it. Oh, don't worry about it. It feels good. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Your mama do it. Don't worry about it. Your daddy do it. Don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. And the next thing you know, everything God done pumped in you, you done let out. And now, next thing when trouble comes, Cohen, what happened to him? What's going to happen to him? When Cohen comes and unloads on me, what's going to happen to him? Do you understand what I'm telling you, what sin do to you? Some of you know that exactly what I showed you for real. And some of you getting your tail kicked right now because it ain't nothing that God's done. It's because you chose to open up the valve on everything that he put in you. You chose to play the game. It's better for you to fit in and be like the world than to be like Christ. And when Christ said, you know what? If they hated me, they're going to hate you. And don't nobody hate you. He called us to be a set-apart people. What does a set-apart people mean? That the world is going to go out and they're going to do all these crazy things. And there's going to be lawlessness. What's lawlessness? No rules. It's okay for me to do any and everything. There's no rules. But we want to use the Bible and we want to say, you know what, that's too many rules. I can't follow that. When you don't really know nothing about it because you ain't never opened it up and read it for yourself. You allowing me to tell you what God said. What if I lied? How many of you would be able to catch me in a lie if I told you something about the word? Anybody gonna catch me in a lie? Some of you? How can you catch me in a lie when you don't know nothing about your father? But yet you want your father to put you up under his covering and say, you know what? Take care of me. I'm going to do what I want to do, but please take care of me. You know what? When I'm depressed, I know you got my back. You know what? When I want to run them streets, you know what? You know what's happening in this youth group? We fighting to hold on to babies. We got babies that's being pulled to the streets. Pull, because streets is easy. You know, we got brothers in the streets that made you feel love because we ain't got no love at home, so we yearn for the streets. We yearn for the things that come from the streets and all the benefits from the street. And then we got people in here that ain't touched the street, could care less about the street, but they could care less about a relationship with a living God. So what's the difference? The world's going to tell you that we got to separate because you brown, I'm white, you black. We can't like each other. We can't be brothers. We can't be family. We can't be nothing. That's what the TV tell you, right? Like this country full of racism and full of all this. They jacked up people in every race. They jacked up people in every race. But they used a few to turn you against me or me against you like I can't love you. No, I'm going to love you. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you do. I'm going to love you. What do you think Christ loves? You think he discriminates? You think he chooses what you are or the struggles that you got? I got babies coming up to me and telling me all these ways that they feel about certain things. Do you think Christ don't understand that feeling? It's when you begin to act on that feeling that there's a problem. Do you think that everybody don't yearn to sin? It's when you carry it out that there's a problem. And what the devil don't tell you is, the moment you eat the fruit, the harder it is to get the air back in you. This life is hard. This life is a struggle. And if you think that you can make it without this covering right here, you got another thing coming. And you get a lot of folks that twist it that say, you know what? I said the prayer, right? I said the prayer. I guarantee you if I look around the room, we'll have about 99% of y'all that said the prayer. Jesus, please forgive me. Come into my heart. Forgive me of my sins. Set me right. However, whoever prayed with you, I guarantee you've repeated those words somehow, some way. What you doing about that prayer? Does that prayer give you a full pass to do everything that you want? Somebody explain that to me. Does Christ pick and choose who he loves? Does he pick and choose what rules he wants us to follow? Does he expect you to be perfect? Huh? He expects you to make effort. That's a key word for tonight. Effort. You know what effort means? Anybody know what effort means? That means when I was in kindergarten, I had to give a certain kind of effort to make it into the first grade. Right? I could pretty much do a little bit of everything early on because I didn't know no better in kindergarten, right? I could pretty much just slobber and poop and take a nap, and I was good to go on to the first grade, right? Is that not the way it is when you really start that relationship with Jesus? You slobbering and pooping and napping and you doing everything. But guess what? There's a point in time when it's time to go to first grade. And when I go to first grade, guess what? I still got nap time, and I still going to get a few snacks, but there's some things that I got to do on my own. I got to go to the bathroom on my own now. I got to be able to start to read a little bit. I might even start to be able to write. And every grade we move up, there's a little bit more responsibility. How is it even any different with Jesus? There's an expectation that you constantly keep moving. Some of you started in kindergarten or 3K. Some of you's in the 6th grade. Some of you's in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Some of you's graduated in college. There's always a step to move forward. Because if I'm not moving forward, where am I going? See, we got some of us that's fighting to graduate. Why? Because we taking classes we don't really like and we got to figure it out. Guess what? There's parts of the book that ain't always fun to read. But I got to read it. You know what? I'm in Ezekiel right now. Anybody know who Ezekiel was? This brother was a prophet. And every time you open a new section of Ezekiel, it says, son of man, I need you to tell them this. Son of man, I need you to tell them that. And I don't even know half the people or the places he's telling. I ain't even going to lie, but it ain't nothing he telling good. Do you know Ezekiel had to lay on his side for 390 days on one side like this? And then he had to turn around and lay on the other side for 40 more days to make up for every year that the Israelites had sinned against God. Ain't that some stuff? You want to do that one? You want to lay on your side for 430 days? No. You want to lay on your side for 430 days? No. God don't require that. He requires us to come into a covenant relationship with a living God, Jesus Christ, who came and died for you. And when Christ died for you, he said, you know what? I lived this life. I already know what you're going to go through. But you make a choice. You make a choice when you come in to stay right here. You make a choice when he puts air in your lungs, breath in your lungs to act and walk and talk like him. You decide. Before long, when we take the valve off, don't we end up just like this bag? You dying right now because I already know it, because we know that some of us right here has been pumped up with full of the Holy Ghost, and we let the valve off thinking that we could control the air. Like when you play with the world, we think that we can control it. Like, you know what, I can get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm still going to be okay. That ain't the way it works. When you pop that valve off and the devil get a control of your life, he'll let the air out your lungs before you even know it, before you even realize it. And God's saying, look here, you don't even know what I feel like anymore. You don't even know what I sound like. You don't even know what I taste like. You can't even hear me no more. You can't hear me because I went somewhere. Is that the way it went? Does God ever go anywhere? Is my object lesson hitting home with anybody? Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? What's the first thing I'm talking about? What does this represent right here? What's the word I've been using? Covering. What's the R word I've been using? What's the word? Say refuge with me. 1, 2, 3. Who's your refuge? God has pumped his air in some of his lungs because you said the prayer. And some of you's made the choice after that prayer at some point in your life to say, you know what? Being like the world, acting like the world, all that's more important. And some of you chose to take the cap off your life, and you chose to be just like everybody else. And you can't feel him no more. You don't know you don't know anything about him because you made a choice to walk away from him and be like the world. To leave my what? What's this called? What? Find me some music. Very, very simple. God is my refuge and my strength, my ever-present help in time of trouble. Why do we only want to call on him when we're in trouble? Man, he wants a relationship with you when it's good. He wants a relationship with you when it's bad. You know what? He loves you when you're good and you're trying to be like him. And he loves you when you just feel like a little bit empty and you want to have a little bit of the world and a little bit of him. And then he loves you when you completely walk away. His love never changes. But the choices we make dictate our outcome. Look at me. Everybody look at me right now. The choices, do you hear me? The choices you make and I make dictate our outcome. Do you understand that? Does mama's choices dictate your outcome? Anybody believe mama's choices dictate your outcome? Does daddy's choices dictate your outcome? Everybody. Does your grandma and your granddaddy choices dictate your outcome? What about your brothers and your sisters' choices? Who dictates your outcome? You. You dictate the choice you make. You dictate whether you choose to listen or whether you choose to disobey. You make the choice whether you're angry or whether you're sad. You make the choice whether you're going to seek and find or you're going to turn and walk away. That choice is yours. Point blank, period. We want to blame everything that goes on around us for the reason why we are what we are. I'm going to tell you something. You might leave from here and you might go live a life of hell and you might do whatever you want to do, and I'm still going to love you and he is too, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you don't learn anything in this room, you better look at me right now, because we come from all different backgrounds. Your bloodline don't define you. His blood do. I don't care what kind of jacked up situation you come from. I don't care who loves you and who don't. I'm telling you right now that there's a loving God who loves you, that appreciates you. He does all that. Some of you think that you're fat. Some of you think you're short. Some of you think that you're dumb. I've had text messages saying, Tuck, they think I'm retarded. No, God don't make retarded. He makes perfection. So quit listening to the haters and listen to what God say about you. You listen to what the loving God says about you. Some of you say, man, you ain't never going to make it out of Woodruff. You're going to end up just like your mama or your daddy. Keep making the same decisions than you are. Keep making the same choices. Who has the choice? Who has the choice? Who dictates your outcome? Quit looking at everybody else. Look at you. Look in the mirror and see who's looking back at you. Don't give me all these excuses. Don't make way for all these excuses. You either going to make a choice to do it or you're going to make a choice not to. Don't blame somebody else for your decisions. Be man enough or woman enough to say, you know what? I don't need you, God, so I'm going to go do me. I don't need your covering. I don't need your perfection. I don't need you. Be bold enough to say that. Instead of playing games and saying, you know what, I think I need you today. You know what, my friends are going to do this, so I don't need you anymore. Hold up, never mind. They canceled. I'm going back. I need you. Is that not the way we do? You got a choice. What's going to be your choice? Cut my music on. In a loving way, not a bossy way. Here's the choice. Baby boy can cry. He good. He right where he need to be. When you look at yourself right now, you begin to reflect on the choices that you make. Is there one person in here that says, you know what? I have not asked Jesus into my heart. Like, I have not asked Jesus in my heart. I don't have, this song fixing to sing about a firm foundation. I ain't got no firm foundation. I do what everybody else do. I act like everybody else act. If somebody was to come up to you and say, do you see Jesus in you? What would they say? Huh? What would they say? I don't care what your background is. What's the people around you going to say? Like, do they see Jesus in you? Is he a reflection of the way you live your life? And if he's not, that's okay. That can start to change tonight. But you got to understand, when you do what you want to, it's a process to change. Because the world's so much easier. How many of you know the world's easy? It's easy to roll it up, light it up, smoke it up, and inhale. It's easy to chase after women or dudes. It's easy to cuss. It's easy to run and hide. All that's easy. You know what's hard? I'm good. I don't need that. You know what? You know what, devil? No, you a liar. I am beautiful. I am everything God called me to be. I am this. I am that. Instead of saying, you know what? I'm going to do what everybody else do. The hard part is making a choice to be different. That's hard. That's hard. That's hard. My choice is right here for you tonight. If you have not asked Jesus into your heart, I need you to come see me right now. I'm going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Deanna, will you come pray for her, please? Right here up under this protection right here. Second thing is,